I am so excited to welcome Chelsea Peitz. Is that right?
Peitz like lights. You got it. That's
All
exactly
right,
right.
girl.
And
Thank you.
my maiden name was Smith. So I kind
Oh,
of got away for many years with a very easy to pronounce and spell last name. So I'm excited to have one that gives me the opportunity to say it rhymes with lights.
I love it. I love it. And I appreciate you so much. So, I was reading your speaker package and I was so impressed. I did not know you had been in real estate as an agent. And so you kind of evolved from being an agent into being a coach, an international speaker, having your own podcast, writing 2 best-selling books. And I was just like, wow, this is great. So I am so excited that you are going to share with us today on how to use video and social media and any other way, like in email marketing, etc. So I am one of these that I'm just going to sit back and, like my son tells me, close your mouth and let them talk. And so I'm going to let you just kind of do your magic and teach us everything that you know.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm super excited to be here. You and I have connected for so long over the socials, as the majority of my in-person real life relationships have started and sometimes just always stay and have never even gotten off of the socials. And yes, as you mentioned, I got my license, I jokingly say, in 2001 BF. And the BF stands for before Facebook. So I did business the old-fashioned way for many years. I was licensed for 18. I was full-time for 10. I worked in new home sales, residential real estate, and in 2008, which was an interesting year
Yes,
for
it
real
was.
estate. I'm using that word selectively. It was an interesting year. I decided that I wanted to stay in the industry, but I wanted to do something different with the industry. And I didn't exactly know what that was. And I kind of put it out to the universe and said, I'm going to manifest this in some way, shape, or form. And I didn't realize at the time that my true calling and passion in life is teaching. And I became a marketing professional for real estate agents. And that truly was teaching. And what evolved from that was helping real estate humans understand how to create real human connections through technology, which seems like an oxymoron. I personally believe that you can be human through tech. And often when I'm speaking or coaching or hosting webinars, a lot of people expect me to give, social media advice, which we will get into. But they're surprised to find out that I'm not really helping humans with real estate problems. Or I'm not helping, realtors with real estate problems. I'm helping them with the human side of it, the human problems. And one of the things that holds us back truly is all of the limiting beliefs that we have around putting ourselves out to the universe. There's nothing scarier, I think, other than public speaking, which is what I do. I public speak and I take, and record videos and put it out to the world. Probably the 2 scariest things. I bet people would rather jump out of a plane than speak in front of thousands of people on a stage. And amplifying that into the world of social, we are vulnerable as human beings. We innately need to feel like we belong and that we're loved and that we're affirmed. And the very thing that I love about the relationships on social media is also the very thing that makes me a bit nervous when I post myself to the world. So what usually happens is a misalignment of who we are in real life, the real us, and the person that we're seeing on the video that we just made. And we know that's us, but something just doesn't seem quite right. It doesn't quite seem like the authentic version of ourselves. It might sound a little different. Your face might look a little different. Your eye contact might be looking different. And so my focus is really teaching real estate humans how to authentically show up online with heart and humanity and not hustle and hacks.
Right. Yeah. And you're very good at this. I mean, no matter what you're doing, and the way that I connected with you was through one of my team members. And she was telling me, you've got to follow this girl. And so I started following you, and I was told to follow you for the business side of it, but I got into all the dogs and the rescues and and then you have your little boy. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I love dogs. I have like 7 rescues. And so of course I connected with you through the dog adoption and everything. But then I've learned so much from you on the other side of it. So, it's funny, I think, how you connect with people on the internet through something that's not business, but then you reach, the dog thing, how many people reach out to that, so that's where I kind of connected with you and loved it. And so then I've been learning from you, and I'm one of those that hates to do video. And so, but I know you have to do it. And so that's what I'm like. I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm like, I'm going to be taking notes and everything, because I think it'll help
Good,
me.
because I have a lot to share.
Yeah, I mean, it'll help me, but it'll also help our audience to get more comfortable. So take over, girl.
So I think I want to back up and tell a little bit of story of how I got here, because let me just be honest, I didn't watch my videos back for 5 years. So I'm just being very transparent with the listeners. I am a normal human being like you. I don't like seeing myself on video. I don't like hearing my voice. And it's awkward, it's unusual, it's not something that we grew up with. And I started to realize probably about 8 or 9 years ago, I was using an app called Snapchat, which I know is, not as big of a deal as it was back then. But this was like our TikTok, where it was like what everybody was using. And it was new and it was different. And what was really different about it is it didn't have a feed. There was nothing. You opened it up and it was a camera. So you were forced to create. And 9 times out of 10, you were talking to the camera, or it was faced to the camera. It wasn't just taking pictures of what you were looking at. And for the very first time ever, we were talking to the camera, and it was going out to your community. And so they were really the first in the world of what we now call stories, Instagram stories, Facebook stories. And of course, everybody steals from each other and puts it in their platform and tries to make it better. And so what was happening is I started having these what felt like real friendships with people that I'd never met before. I mean, truly strangers like that I had never met before. And I remember my husband would come home and I would say, oh my gosh, you're never going to believe what happened to Shannon and her kids. And he was like, who is Shannon? I'm like, oh, it's my friend from Snapchat. And he was like, babe, these are your real friends. And I'm like, no, there's something different here. And eventually there was about 20, 25 of us who decided to actually meet, quote, in real life. And we got together, and it was literally like the least awkward thing that has ever happened. We just started picking up conversations like we just had them 10 minutes ago, because we were having them in the direct messages, and we were watching where people were coming from and watching them prepare to come to the event. And I still talk to those people on a daily basis, truly. And it is really, really magical. And I said, there's something here. So I kind of went back into my roots, where I was actually going to be a therapist. I went to school for clinical psychology, and I realized I'm far too empathic for that. And probably crying through every one of my sessions with my clients wouldn't be a good thing. So I jokingly tell people I became a realtor, which is basically the next best thing. And so I realized there was something here. And so my first book is all about the science, the true science of how our brains react to people's faces, and how we can develop real trust and in fact accelerate it through technology. The familiarity effect, like no trust. And so it's critical for you to show your face. And one of the phrases I say all the time is faces take you places. But I realize it's really difficult to show up authentically as yourself online. And a lot of coaches, a lot of humans who do video say, oh, you just got to grin and bear it. You're going to sweat through it. You're just going to keep doing it and keep doing it until one day you're going to be fine with it. And that's the strategy I use. So it does work. It's called exposure therapy. But wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't it be nice to have a few tips for easing us into video?
Love
now,
it.
I mentioned earlier before that the main thing that gives us that ick factor when we're like, oh, gosh, I didn't know I sounded like that. Oh, gosh, is that me? It doesn't quite look like me. Usually what that's coming from is a misalignment. And the misalignment happens typically, not every time, but typically if you're trying to memorize something. Maybe you've written a script and you're trying to memorize it. And what happens, it activates a different part of your brain. And when your brain is thinking about the next sentence, usually what happens is the warmth cues, the smiles, the facial expressions, the micro expressions that we have when we're talking with people and we're not thinking of a script, those fall away. And so you kind of don't look like yourself on the camera. And oftentimes, if you're memorizing a script or reading from a teleprompter, we do not write like we talk. And we can kind of tell there's something off there because we're not usually saying the words that we are writing out. It's very hard to write like we talk,
Right.
in a casual tone. And so what happens is we see ourselves and we know that's us, but our brain can tell something is a little bit off. And we start to feel physical discomfort. Truly, this is a scientific fact. And then we start to think, well, God, it's me. I'm not cut out for this. And we don't want to have discomfort and we don't want to do it again, certainly. So one of the strategies that I've come up with is, I think, an excellent way to solve that misalignment. And I call it the one-to-one video strategy. And this is a strategy anyone can use. If you have a thriving YouTube, channel and you're doing video all day long, great, you can use this. If you hate video and you're like, I feel awkward, I feel uncomfortable, I am nervous, this is for you as well. Okay. So I'm going to describe what this is all about. And then if you have any questions, just stop me at any time. So this is where you want to, if you can and you safely can take notes, not if you're driving, of course, but you want to take notes. I also know that you're going to be putting a link to my video training in the show notes. So if you want a more in-depth, if you want to stop and pause and rewind, you can also go there. So thank you for including that. But the one-to-one video strategy is super, super simple by design, because if you're like me, you come up with a lot of excuses. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'll do it next week. And then next week comes and I say the same thing. So the goal here, one, eliminate excuses. You do not need a studio. You do not need a script. You do not need to edit. You do not need lighting. You do not need a camera. You have everything you need in the phone. And oftentimes we can get into our heads and say, oh my gosh, I don't have time to sit down and write a script. I don't have time to sit down and set up my lights. I'm walking the dog right now, and then I have to take the kids to school, and I just don't have time. But you don't need to have a studio. You could literally record a video while you're walking the dog if you so choose. And so we want to eliminate excuses. We also want to reduce content stress. I don't want you to have to think of a bunch of ideas and constantly feel like I'm going to run out of ideas because I already talked about that. So here's the solution. We're going to use your phone only. We're going to pull it out. And we're going to record a very, very short video. The reason I want it to be short is no content stress, no excuses. I want it to be simple so you don't have to script it. And I want it to be something that you feel is doable. Okay, so we can get you into a habit. It doesn't need to be a minute. It can be 7 seconds. And we're going to record a little video. Now, who are we going to send this to? Well, it's called one-to-one for a reason. I want you to pick one human being that you already like, know, and trust. Okay, so what's a like, know, and trust? Because this is the one that trips everyone up too. They're like, oh, well, who should I send it to? In my world, like, know, and trust is someone that I know well enough that if I ran into them at Target, I would say hello and know their first name. Okay, so that's the kicker, right? You got to know their first name. So this is like a current client, past client, great referral partner, friend of yours, somebody that you know well. And I want you to know this person well because I want you to feel comfortable with them. And I also want you to understand that when you know exactly who you're talking to, you don't need a script because I know this person. I know you. I know who you are. I know you're kind. I know that you're going to be excited to receive my message. And the type of message that I recommend sending is what I call a visual Hallmark card. Whatever you would find at the card section, right? Happy birthday, happy anniversary, congratulations, I'm thinking of you. Any kind of good vibes, nice thing that you can tell another human being. They'll just pretend it's happy birthday because that's the easy one, right? Let's just do happy birthday.
Yeah.
So the idea here is I'm thinking of you. I like, know, and trust you. I know your first name. And I'm going to pretend that it's your birthday today. So I'm going to take out my phone and let's just pretend I'm on a walk with my dogs. And I pull out my phone and I go to my social media platform of choice. In this case, I'm just going to use Instagram. I hop onto Instagram. I go into the message section. I type your name in and I'm going to start a new message to you. And every single messaging platform has a little camera icon. So I can actually just record a video message directly inside of any kind of direct message inbox. How exciting is that? I don't have to have like multiple steps. I don't have to record a video on my computer or on my phone and save it to my camera roll and then go over to the socials. You can if you want to, but it's an easier, process to just do it directly there. And I'm going to open up that camera. And I'm walking my dogs and I'm going to say, Kim, oh my gosh, it's your birthday, friend. Happy birthday. I hope you have the best day ever. I'm just thinking about you. And so were the dogs. Now, that only took me probably 5 or 6 seconds, right? Okay. That was like, nothing. Now, you're listening, so you can't see my face, but I guarantee I'm smiling. Mm-hmm. And so what's happening here is I'm not thinking about what I look like or what I sound like or what my script is. I'm only thinking about you, and it's your birthday. And I dare anyone to give someone a happy birthday message and not smile while saying it.
Exactly.
And so then what happens is when you watch that video back, you may not love the lighting. You may not think you look phenomenal or, gosh, I really miss my ring light. But you're going to say, okay, that wasn't terrible. It sounded more like me. You know why? Because you had warmth cues in your face. You were smiling. You were moderating your tone up and down and modulating your voice like you normally do when you talk to someone. You're not sitting there saying, there's 3 reasons that you need to buy in X, Y, and Z. Because then you're like, that doesn't feel like me. Okay. So you have recorded this quick little video. You've done something really nice for someone that you care about. Well, guess what? That is a hit of dopamine. You feel great. That feels nice to do something nice for someone else. And they feel really nice feeling recognized and seen. That's awesome. So you kind of are in this positive feedback loop, right? And you're making videos. Now, here's the key. Okay, I'm going to give you 2 keys here in this to wrap this up. Number 1, I said send it in a direct message. I want to address why we're not texting and why we are not emailing. I love email. I love text messages for a way to communicate, and I use them to communicate with my sphere. It does not have to be an either or. It can be an and. For this particular strategy, I want it to go through a direct message because when you send someone a direct message on any platform, the computer system, the algorithm, is going to take notice, and it is going to use that as a major data point to determine who gets to see your content in the future. When I send a text message to you, Kim, and it's a happy birthday video, you're excited and pleased, and you're like, oh, that was so sweet. Thank you so much for sending it. Well, thank you for the birthday wishes, right? So you're going to message me back and say, thanks for sending it. And you get the warm and fuzzies, and you're like, okay, great. But when I post next week on Instagram to the feed, is your phone going to ring and say, Chelsea just posted, you should go look at it? No. But when you send it inside of the app itself, when you're communicating in comments and direct messages to people, it takes note and says, oh, these 2 people want to see more of each other. So the next time they post, we're going to reshuffle their feeds and make sure that their content goes up higher and more often comes into their feed so that they will be seen more often by the right people. So if you are picking up what I'm putting down, yes, you should be talking to the people that you want to be seen more often by, because the algorithm is going to resort the feed in your favor. And not only will they get that amazing personalized message, now they're seeing you in the feed too. And then if you're emailing them, they're getting your newsletter. And then if you're seeing them at the baseball game on Friday, they're seeing you there too. And all of a sudden they're like, I feel like I see you everywhere. And you're like, I love that. Yeah. So in summary, a one-to-one video you can do anytime, anywhere, and it's going to help you get more aligned with your authentic self and your recorded self. It's also going to get you more comfortable and camera confident. And remember, only one person sees it. And so
Mhm.
you're not having this stress of everyone and strangers seeing that, right? And so it's also going to help you not rely on all the things that we have excuses about. There's no editing. 23 years ago when I was an agent, I actually had to have your phone number and you had to answer. Oh my gosh, imagine. We don't need any of that now. And it's also going to work harder and smarter for your future content. The one caveat here, this is the one no we're not going to do, okay? What we're not going to do is we're not going to use this as a cheat code. We're not going to go to Facebook and look at the birthdays that week and we see 12 birthdays.
Yeah.
And we're not going to create one video that's like, hey, you, happy birthday, and send that same one video to all 12 people. That is for us. That's for us to pat ourselves on the back and say, look at me. I got all my social media stuff done in 30 seconds today. That is for you. We are doing something for the actual human being on the other side of the screen that is unscalable because it's human. Not everything should be automated. Not everything should be made efficient. We have Chat GPT and all that, and I love those tools, but at the end of the day, it's a human being on the other side.
And contact.
And we need to be thinking about them. Also, what we're not going to do is we're not slipping in how we can help them in the PS, friends. That is for you. That's a marketing opportunity for you. No. This is about them. And when you have something about you, even if it's polite, because we're not being rude, of course we're being polite. Oh, and if there's anything I can do, or, think of me if you have a referral. No, this is for them. And when you put something in there about you, you negate all of the things that just happened. So we don't want to use this as an opportunity to sell, which if you are reminding people about how you can help them in a birthday message, that is selling. It may not seem like what you think is selling, but it impacts psychologically. It's like the word, people say use and versus but, because if you say but, it kind of like wipes out everything before it. Same concept. So that one strategy there, anybody can use, and it's a great way to start kind of ramping up your algorithm, refreshing and waking up the community that you have built, because it's all about community. Who cares about how many followers you have if none of them engage and none of them are the right people that want to actually work with you? So it's about community first and relationships. And one thing holds true for the decades that I've been in sales. It's how many people do you talk to and how many relationships do you create? Period. That's it. So you can just do it at scale now. So that's the no excuse plan to creating more videos, starting there and then moving into some of the additional areas of creating video that the public will see.
Okay. So I have a question. When you talk about doing the DM, are you saying DM through Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and all of them, or just pick one to go to, and that's where is one going to give you more than the other, I guess is my question.
No, keep it simple. Pick your favorite.
Okay.
I spend the most time in Instagram, and that's where I go. Yeah. If you're on Facebook, great. Do it on Facebook Messenger. Instagram is, I personally feel that Instagram is more heavily direct message focused than Facebook and more than LinkedIn, because Instagram stories is such an integral part and component of that app. And so when we're talking to people in stories, it's technically sent as a DM, as a direct message.
Gotcha.
So there's a lot more activity, I think, happening over in the Instagram direct messages. And I personally think that Instagram stories is the highest conversion machine on Instagram, more so than the feed, more than reels, more than live video. Stories is where you will get more conversions, because people feel as though they are seeing the real human being. Because let's face it, you're probably in my living room or you're in my backyard, and it's just like influencer marketing. We are influenced more likely by people. If you said, oh my gosh, you have to read this new book, I love it, or I'm watching this series, which is so great, or I just found this new thing, I'm more likely to buy it, watch it, believe it from you than if I see an ad. So that's how and why people are connecting at an accelerated pace through stories, because it is unedited, it is behind the scenes, and it is real-ish time. It's a 24-hour cycle. So there's a lot of product psychology that goes into these tools. And the number one place you'll get conversions, at least on Instagram, is Instagram stories.
Okay. I love that. Okay. So, tell us a little bit about this program that you're launching, the virtual academy. Is that what we're calling it?
No, it's actually it is virtual, but the name of it is Real Estate Content Accelerator. It's a coaching program that I have with my co-coach Giselle Ugardi, and we offer 5 incredible jam-packed weeks of weekly Zoom calls with a group. And the Zoom calls are 2 hours. Like when we talk about like training, we are really
Diving
giving
in.
you a lot of content. And it also comes along with an incredible, robust Facebook group community. We have hundreds and hundreds of videos in the how-to library. So you don't even have to Google how to do anything. You can actually just go right to our library. And if you're like, how do I add captions to my video? It's going to show you all of that right there. And we just finished up our first quarter, and we're going to be launching May 17th for the next cohort. And I can absolutely send you a link, and you can put that in the show notes as well. And I'll put a code in there too for a discount code.
Oh, great. Well, our audiences love that. So we would
Yes.
definitely want to do that. Okay, so let me ask you this. So I love the idea of just doing a real simple video in the DM, wishing them happy birthday. That's a very natural thing. That's nurturing your relationship with those people. And then can you give us a tip on going maybe live on Instagram or creating a reel? What do you see? And maybe the length of that reel, so sometimes
Mhm.
I know that when I'm doing a reel, I'm having to look at the time if I'm using pictures or anything, I'm always looking at it going, is that too much time and not enough time? So what would your advice be when you do a video that you want to put on a story or a reel? What kind of give us a little tip there?
Yeah. Reels and just short form vertical video in general, TikTok, Reels, YouTube Shorts, Facebook Reels, they're all the same thing. They just have their different names for them on different platforms. But for this example, we'll just use the term Reels. It's typically short, usually less than a minute or 90 seconds, sometimes less than 30 seconds. And there is no right or wrong length. It needs to be as long as it needs to be and not a second longer. And so ideally, we want to be very concise. And this is the hardest part of creating short form. And I'm even going to say long form video. Nobody wants to hear us repeat ourselves over and over again. So when I am creating content, I actually write out an outline so that I can make sure I'm editing. I don't need to say that. I can delete this. And so that's the hardest part, I think. Some people can easily just, the camera goes on and they do it. That's not me. So
Mm.
I will say, less is probably more, and giving some thought about, okay, do I really need to talk about this backstory? I just summarize it in one sentence, or do I even need this story at all? Or is this like relevant to what I'm even talking about? Oftentimes too, we want to try to get too many things into one video. We're like, oh my gosh, I want to talk about these 4 bullet points. Well, maybe it's just 4 individual videos, one on each one
Oh,
of the
yeah.
little bullet points. Also, for example, if the topic is complex, say a reverse mortgage, well, number one, you got to think they probably don't even know what a reverse mortgage is. So you have to like explain that. And then you have to talk about what you were going to talk about reverse mortgages. So again, there might be 2 videos in there, or so I used to be like, oh my gosh, I want to cram all of this stuff in here. And it was really hard. So I will say, try to see if you can extract different areas, and maybe it becomes more than one video, which is great. Because if you're like, oh my gosh, that was great because now I have 3 video ideas, that's better than one. The other tip I will give is how you start your video matters. And probably that's the most important part of the video, because if you think about it, the person's not going to watch seconds 5 through 30 if they don't watch 0 through 5. So you have to really be thinking about how are you starting your video. And the one thing that I recommend is never starting with an introduction. That could be something like, hi, everyone, this is Chelsea Peitz. And today we're talking about 3 reasons that you've already lost me at hi, this is. Because these people don't really know you yet, right? So they're just scrolling. And so we need to grab the brain right away. So how do we do that? My best tip is to just keep it simple by asking a question. So let's pretend I have a listing that I want to talk about. And so instead of saying, hey, everyone, this is Chelsea Peitz with whatever brokerage, I'm here today at my new listing. So we've already lost people, right? I might ask a question and say something like, have you ever wondered what $1 million can buy you in whatever city you're in? And then go into talking about what my listing is and what you can get. So at least now you've kind of got them watching. And yes, you have to keep them watching, which is a whole nother strategy. But one of the easiest ways to improve your videos, your watch time and engagement is to get people to actually stop and watch it. Because if they're not stopping it, they're not going to watch your video. And the last tip I'll give is closed captioning is critical. It's not a nice to have. It's not an option. Every single one of your videos on any platform in any format, whether it's long form, short form, stories, whatnot, it needs to have closed captioning, subtitles, basically, so I can read what you're saying, because many of the videos are going to be consumed with no sound. And if I don't know what you're saying, I'm not going to watch it. So I'm just going to skip right past it until I can consume something that I actually can read.
Gotcha. Love that tip. And that's true, because I'm one of those that if I'm sitting somewhere, my husband, not social media, hates it, doesn't want to hear about it. And I'm that person going, oh, my friend on social media. He's like, no, they're not. But if we're in the car and I'm scrolling through something, that's where I appreciate the closed caption, because he's not going to want to hear it, and so I just kind of be respectful to him, and then just kind of do that. And so I love that and everything. And they should do that, I would think, on every platform, right? Whether it's YouTube,
Yes.
Facebook,
You know what? It
Instagram.
really should just be automated.
Yeah.
I can only assume that that's going to happen at some point. Now it's gotten a lot easier. It's usually just pushing a button.
Right.
But my gosh, it's every platform needs to just make this automated so that it's just always there.
I know, it's crazy. Okay, so then I want to know also a little bit about your books. So tell me, can we go to Amazon and get your books? Because I would love to put those in the show notes so people can grab them. And then, of course, the course that you have offered with a discount, we'll put those in the show notes as well. And I will probably be on that course, because I need to learn how to be more comfortable in front of video. My whole team is like, Kim, you love to talk, but you don't want to get on video. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that, And so I'm gradually, like, doing this podcast has really been a stepping out of my comfort zone. And so, but I'm loving it, and I'm getting more comfortable with it as we go along. So that's another tip, is just keep doing it, I think, and then you get more comfortable with it. And it doesn't have to be perfect,
Yeah.
So I think that's another important key. So, so tell us about your books, and then a little bit more about your course, and we make sure everybody gets all that information.
Yeah, a couple of things. I always love to give free resources. I'm a big believer in giving it all away for free. So if you are not at a space where you want to invest or can't invest any money, please know that if you go to my Instagram profile, there are free courses there, free Instagram courses, free downloads, free guides. Please feel free to take advantage of those. And also, I have my books. The one that I would recommend is the What to Post book. And it is a true workbook style. So you're going to get your pens and pencils out and your highlighters. And it's the basics, the foundations. It's not going to be about specific things on reels, because all that stuff changes, right? So this is a foundational content workbook that should stand the test of time. There are some things in there about the algorithm, but by and large, this is going to be something that doesn't matter what platform you're using. And it doesn't matter, because things change every day on Instagram, and we can't keep up with that. I do have a paid course called Real Estate School. It's spelled REEL, because it's all about reels for real estate agents. And you can find that on my Instagram profile as well. And last but not least, my favorite is the 5-week live group with other amazing humans, where we jump on Zoom every week for 5 weeks with my partner, Giselle Ugardi, and we talk all about how to show up on video. And you are going to be held accountable, which I know that's what you need. You're going to have an incredible group of cheerleaders cheering you on. And we're going to help you really get out of the mindset of being perfect, of overthinking, of limiting beliefs around who we are and what our story is, and that we don't have a story worth telling, and how to craft videos and content that feel good because they feel like you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I love it. Well, I'm going to do all that.
Okay, great.
Because I'm the one that, like I said, I'm not comfortable getting on video. I have a message. I've just got to figure out how to get comfortable on video. And I'm also that person that says, when you're uncomfortable, that makes you grow. And so I think that's a really good positive thing that we can walk away with if you're taking the course and everything. But the book, I think, will help a lot for me as well, because I'm always having to sit down and, as we all do with podcasting or anything, is, what is your content? What do people need to know, and what do they want to hear? So
right.
anyway.
Yeah. And you can find my book and my podcast. All of it lives on my Instagram. So just find me on Instagram. And if you're listening from the show, let me know that you came from the show. Say hi, send a DM and say, hey, I just listened to you on Kim's show. And so I say, oh, yay, thank you so much.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Yeah. Okay. So here's what we'll do is I will put in the show notes the links to the course, the books, etc., to Chelsea's Instagram, and y'all go over and follow her. She is great at what she's doing. Like I said, the dogs, that little dog, that blonde, I forget her name. What's her name?
Daisy. Yeah, Daisy.
Oh my gosh. I'm like, I will come and take her from you.
she's a favorite on Instagram.
Yeah. And we are huge, animal people. And so because we have a ranch, people seem to think, oh, the Hugheses need another dog. And so if we don't see the dog, we will find a dog. It's like I tell people, give me a minute, I'll find another dog. And so we did rescue, I will tell you this, we did rescue a really cute little Chihuahua, probably 10 years ago. And it was an ordeal. It was quite an ordeal. We had the sheriff involved and everything. And that little dog went to a friend of mine, and her name was Prissy, because she was very prissy. And so she has just brought love and life to my friend, which was, I think, a godsend. So anytime, I'm always going to say this, anytime that if you want to add to your family a little furry animal, make sure you go to the rescues to find one, because they are there. You just got to go find them. So anyway, but okay. So is there anything else that you would like to add before we say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you for having me. Thank everybody for listening, especially if you got to the end. We really, really appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. I'm excited to connect with the community members that are coming from here.
Yes, I really do appreciate you taking the time to spend with us and share your knowledge on Instagram and on social media and everything else. So we are so happy to have you. And so I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if there's anything we can do for you, you just let us know. But I'm sure that if everybody is listening, they go and do what Chelsea is telling you to do, you're going to be a huge success in your market. So with that said, I appreciate it so much. And I hope you go out and have a great day.